Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. And this is where I think there is such a wild double standard for LeBron compared to other contemporary stars. Since LeBron's been with the Lakers, only the Celtics have the Lakers clearly beat in team success. No team's won more rings, no team's been to more finals. The Lakers are then tied for second with a bunch of other teams on been to one finals, won one championship. OKC obviously in a month might eclipse them. Has Jokic's career with Denver been a success? Has Giannis's career with Milwaukee been a success? I'm purely talking about the team success. This is LeBron with the Lakers versus Joker, who's been with the Nuggets for 11 years. Giannis has been with the Bucks for 13 years.
The NBA media has a serious LeBron James obsession. And the truth is, they just cannot walk away from it. Every big play, every rumor, and every retirement discussion instantly becomes headline material. But it is not necessarily because they admire LeBron. It is because stories about him generate attention, clicks, and revenue. That is the reality many major sports networks would rather avoid discussing publicly. So be honest in the comments. Do you still trust the way mainstream sports media covers LeBron James? Or did you stop buying into those narratives years ago?
Have the Lakers taken LeBron James for granted? Sure, you can make that argument. But let's put it where the GOATs can get a big perk. They don't particularly like him. That's what this is about, more so than anything else. They'll never admit that. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying there's denials all over the place, just as I said that statement. Oh my God, I know that Stephen A. didn't just say that. Perk, I'm gonna lean on you, who's been doing a great job covering the NBA all of these years, and obviously you're incredibly connected. You know that Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, and obviously by extension LeBron James has turned them off. When they made the trade for Russell Westbrook that ended up being disastrous, you understand, they felt like LeBron wasn't accepting accountability. When there were narratives put out there that the organization was the issue and not LeBron James, they knew it wasn't them putting that stuff out there. You and I have talked about this. Most NBA analysts talked about this, because what have we lamented over the years? As great as he is, LeBron James is on the Mount Rushmore of basketball, one of the greatest players to have ever lived. He's also one of the greatest manipulator of narratives we've ever seen.
Let's get straight to the point and address something that should have been obvious years ago. The NBA media does not focus on LeBron James because their main goal is delivering the truth. They focus on him because he is one of the most profitable stories in sports. Every discussion, every controversy, and every retirement rumor brings in views, ratings, and advertising dollars. Once you recognize that reality, the way ESPN and other major sports outlets cover LeBron starts to make a lot more sense. This is not some secret conspiracy. It does not have to be. Nobody is exchanging cash behind closed doors. Nobody is secretly coordinating narratives in some hidden meeting room. It is simply how business works. And business follows one basic principle. Protect the assets that generate revenue. LeBron James generates enormous revenue. As a result, the media has every reason to keep that machine running. It is straightforward, legal, and incredibly effective. That is exactly why it works so well.
On March 31st, the Lakers defeated the Cavaliers to secure LeBron James his record-breaking 1,229th win. It was the same night Luka passed 15,000 points. Rui passed 5,000 points. JJ Redick reached 100 wins. According to Dave McMenamin, Lakers GM Rob Pelinka gave the game ball to Redick over anybody else. And LeBron felt Pelinka's priority was yet another example of the Lakers taking him for granted. On other notes, he has had a great relationship with JJ Redick. One thing the Lakers got right: the Lakers' approach and how they show interest in retaining him, and their plan for any discount will be a factor.
Think about where LeBron reportedly is right now in his career. There is a real question about whether he plays another season, where he plays if he does, and what his body can actually still do at this level. Those are legitimate basketball questions, but the way the media has been handling it is not journalism. It is salesmanship. The framing around his conditioning has been glowing. His Lakers tenure has been called wildly successful by people like Chris Broussard and Nick Wright. The coverage reads less like reporters giving you information and more like a promotional campaign trying to convince a guy to re-sign his contract. And in a very real way, that is exactly what it is. ESPN needs LeBron to come back. The NBA needs LeBron to come back. And when you need something from someone, you are very careful about how you talk about them publicly.
But I think all the media spin on him being so great and still in such great shape and, great conditioning and, them talking about the Los Angeles Lakers stint being wildly successful, as Chris Broussard and Nick Wright had mentioned, is just ridiculous. But it also supposed to serve a purpose. And the purpose that I think it's supposed to serve is ESPN, on behalf of the NBA, is trying to woo LeBron back in for another season. Doesn't matter who he plays with. But yes, he draws a crowd. The drama and the circus that he brings in draws a crowd. ESPN making a lot of money from, talking about him, and advertisers, paying for it and all that other stuff. So they need him.
This is where the business side becomes easy to understand. No matter what kind of game LeBron James has on a given night, people are watching. His supporters tune in hoping to witness another great performance. His critics tune in hoping to see him struggle or face criticism. Different motivations, same result. Both audiences are glued to the broadcast. Both audiences are exposed to the same commercials and sponsors. The network is not concerned with why you are watching. What matters is that you are watching. And few athletes generate that kind of attention as consistently as LeBron does. A role player averaging 15 points per game cannot create that level of interest. Most aging stars nearing the end of their careers cannot either. But when LeBron puts up 15 points, throws down a couple of dunks, and delivers a few highlight moments, the conversation instantly takes off. Even though he is no longer the player he was in his prime, he still attracts attention at a level that very few players in the NBA can rival. That is the asset many media companies value most. Not necessarily the individual himself, but the audience, engagement, and revenue his name continues to generate.
So it's not only that they're going for their interest to promote the NBA and promote him, but they also want him to come back. If they could get him to come back and play another 5 years at a decent level, they would love that. Because he draws attention, he draws advertisers, he draws money, and they love it. Even if he has a season or two that he plays and he's freaking averaging 15 points a game, but he gets a dunk here, he gets a dunk there, and a highlight here and a highlight there, it draws attention, man. ESPN and the media is addicted to it.
Now, step away from basketball for a moment and look at how this same dynamic has played out in another area entirely. Consider the media attention surrounding Donald Trump during different periods of his political career. When Trump first entered the White House in 2016, news networks could not stop talking about him. Whether outlets supported him or opposed him, he dominated the headlines every single day. The coverage was constant. The audience numbers were massive. Supporters tuned in to hear positive stories. Critics tuned in to hear negative ones. But either way, people kept watching. The result was enormous engagement and strong ratings across the industry. Then came the transition to Joe Biden. The news cycle became less intense, and viewership across many outlets declined. That was not necessarily a reflection of success or failure in office. It was largely because Biden did not create the same level of non-stop public reaction. He was not driving conversations from every angle at the same time. When Trump re-entered the political spotlight, media attention immediately surged again. Networks across the spectrum returned to covering him extensively. Why? Because the formula had already proven successful. The audience returned. And where the audience goes, advertising revenue usually follows. That is the comparison many people make when discussing LeBron James and sports media coverage. Whether fans admire him or criticize him, they are still paying attention. And as long as attention remains high, the business side benefits. From a media perspective, that attention is often the most valuable asset of all.
If the Lakers were not successful with LeBron, then what we're saying is in the last 8 years in the NBA, only the Celtics have been successful. Or maybe not them. Maybe nobody's been successful.
But the reason there's a double standard is he's LeBron. I'm not going to say he wasn't successful. He was wildly successful with the Lakers. So I'm agreeing with you on that. But I'm just saying, yes, That's a compliment to LeBron that there's a double standard. I'm not comparing you to freaking Nikola Jokic, as great as he is. I'm comparing you to Michael Jordan, yourself, Kareem, Matt, guys like that. So there's a double standard, yes. But I agree with you, it was wildly successful. I said before he went to LA, if you go there, you got to win a championship.
When people like Chris Broussard say the Lakers era was a huge success, it is not necessarily because they accidentally missed the flaws. It is because positive narratives are often rewarded. Keeping LeBron's story appealing helps maintain interest, fuels debate, and keeps fans invested in what comes next. The reality is that media incentives are powerful. Nobody has to hand out instructions behind closed doors. People naturally gravitate toward narratives that generate engagement, views, and opportunities. That is how the system sustains itself. This also explains why so many outlets want LeBron back for another season. Whether he is still dominant or not, his presence alone creates endless storylines. Where will he play? Will Bronny be with him? Is this finally the last season? Every question becomes content. At the same time, independent creators and podcasts have started challenging mainstream narratives. When fans see alternative perspectives backed by numbers and context, they begin questioning the polished version of the story. That growing pushback has changed the conversation and made audiences more skeptical than ever before. The bigger point is simple. Modern sports media runs on attention. The goal is not just to inform people but to keep them engaged. And few athletes in history have generated attention like LeBron James. That is why the coverage never stops. Whether you love him or criticize him, you are still watching. And as long as people keep watching, the machine keeps running. If this perspective made you think differently, drop your thoughts below and join the conversation.